Greetings everyone, I'm Stefan, and if you ever wanted to start building megastructures 50 years into the game, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'll be explaining how to get mega engineering as quickly as possible using a method called tech beelining. Before we talk about how to take advantage of technology in Stellaris, we first have to understand how the system works in its entirety. Stellaris, as you might know, does not use a traditional tech tree system. Instead, when choosing a new tech, you're given a list of options to choose from. This list of options is a subset of the stuff you have access to in a traditional tech tree. To show you what I mean, I've prepared this visual tech tree. Let's say, for example, you have access to all these technologies on the top. However, you only have 3 research alternatives. You will randomly be given the option to research 3 of these technologies. Once you research your brand new technology, you will unlock more technologies, as you can see here. For example, powered exoskeletons unlock robots, robots unlock droids and robomodding, but as you will notice, droids are in a different category from the other technologies at the top of the screen. That is because there's actually a system of tech tiers in Stellaris. In this tech tree, tech tiers are indicated by the background color. We have tier 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In order to unlock technologies from a high tier, for example, if you want to unlock star bases, we first have to research 6 technologies of a previous tier. We will not have the option to research star bases unless we already have 6 technologies of tier 1 researched. Only then will we have access to tier 2 techs. Same applies for tier 3. We have to research 6 tier 2 technologies in order to advance to tier 3. So on and so forth. This makes getting mega engineering relatively difficult. Instead of gunning down for the necessary prerequisites for mega engineering, we have to also contend with selecting a lot of other options just to advance in our tech tiers. Unfortunately though, it's pretty hard to tell what tech tier a technology is in. You can somewhat tell by looking at how much a technology costs. For example, we can see that a tier 1 technology such as coil guns costs significantly less than a tier 3 technology such as anti-gravity engineering, but even then it is difficult to tell at a glance. For this reason, I developed a mod for Stellaris that lets you see the tech tiers in the tech icon. In this mod, technology tiers follow the colors of the rainbow. Red is tier 1, yellow is tier 2, green is tier 3, blue is tier 4, and purple is tier 5. You can find a link to this mod in the description, and keep in mind that this is completely client-side. You can play multiplayer with this mod enabled, and this does not interfere with any achievements. If you're doing something like a Megastructure Tech Rush, I would highly recommend using this mod, because it really helps you see what technologies you need to get, and what technologies you need to avoid. For example, if you're researching tier 2 techs, you will want to avoid researching other tier 1 techs because they will not help you advance forward. After all, sacrifices have to be made for the sake of progress. Now that we've talked about tech tiers, let's talk about tech weights. Certain techs are simply more likely to appear than others. The higher the weight of a technology, the higher its chance of appearing. Typically, lower tier techs have higher weight for appearing, such as for example powered exoskeletons, compared to higher tier techs, such as for example synthetic personality matrix. However, this weight is not set in stone. There's some things you could do to make a tech more likely to appear or less likely to appear. For example, if you have robotic workers outlawed, you will never get synthetics. However, if you embrace the machine and go for the flesh is weak, you will have a significantly increased chance of having synthetics appear. But now let's focus on what we're really after, mega engineering. As you can see, there's a lot of ways to actually boost the chances of mega engineering appearing. Most notably, if you have a habitat or already own a megastructure in your territory. On top of that, if you also have a proper scientist or are spamming starholds and citadels, the chances of getting mega engineering are simply going to skyrocket. Getting the mega engineering technology itself is not the hard part of rushing for megastructures. Instead, the hard part is getting the 3 prerequisite technologies. The first of these requirements is having the battleship's technology. This technology has a very low weight, and before you're 50, there's a very low chance that you're going to be able to get it. To put it into perspective, the chances of you getting improved cruiser hulls are more than 10 times greater if you're researching before you're 50. To boost the chances of you getting battleships as much as possible, you'll want to go for the Supremacy Tradition tree, and to be clear, you only have to choose the opener for Supremacy to be able to get a 25% weight modifier, and you will also want to go for a Voidcraft Expert on your Engineering Scientist. If you thought getting battleships before year 50 was bad enough, let's talk about citadels. Citadels have an even lower weight, and they have a 0.1x modifier before year 70. Your only saving grace is this requirement right here: number of star fortresses greater than or equal to 3. If you have 3 or more star fortresses, the chance of getting citadels skyrocket. Same actually applies to star fortresses. Star fortresses can also be a pain to get, and of course you need to get them before you can get citadels, but you can boost the chances of getting star fortresses by spamming some star holds, the tier 2 starbase versions. One of the secrets to getting mega engineering early is to spam out starbases. And the last requirement for mega engineering is 0-point power. It is significantly easier to get than the other 2 requirements, because there's no time modifier on it, and it is even easier to get if you have battleships. So now that we've talked about the basics of how to get mega engineering, let's talk about some tricks that you can use along the way to help you out significantly. The first trick is not researching stuff you really don't need. For example, I would generally avoid going for fusion missiles and mass drivers if I'm trying to go for megastructure rush. By not researching these technologies, you also avoid researching all the other technologies that stem from them, which would normally clutter your tech pool. Without these 2 techs, you still have plenty of technologies to meet the 6 tech requirement to advance to the next tier, and if you're playing single player, you might want to avoid these 2 tech trees just in general. These don't really do much for you, and energy weapons are significantly better than whatever these trees have to offer. Alternatively, instead of avoiding coil guns and fusion missiles at every turn, you can instead fight an empire which has that technology and simply keep it open as a permanent tech option by reverse engineering the debris. If you keep unwanted technologies permanently available like this, you will not have to worry about meeting them in the tech tree on normal rolls. Speaking of tech rolls, there's actually a mechanic in game that makes it so that everything that you didn't choose is less likely to appear in the next tech roll. If every single option that you have is bad, rest assured that if you choose a low-cost technology, the next tech roll is probably going to be better and not contain the techs that you have already seen. And my final tip for you guys out there who want to rush megastructures is to do so with a good empire and a good build. I have a lot of good builds on my channel that you can check out in the top right corner, but otherwise that's going to do it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, and I'd like to give a special thank you to my Patreon supporters who have stuck with me all this time. Thank you guys so much, and of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.